Welcome to my talk about electronic waste and the environment. The human race is dependent on the environment for major things like oxygen to little things like paper. However, day by day, our environment is deteriorating because we as a people do not know how to rid of our electronic waste properly. What is e-waste, might you ask? E-waste is any kind of electronic product that has become non-workable, unwanted, or has reached the end of its life. Where do these old electronics end up is consequential for not just us, but for our environment. For example, our e-waste can end up in landfills. Another consequence of not ridding our electronic waste the proper way is water contamination. E-waste that is thrown into rivers and other bodies of water can cause contamination of drinking water for all living humans and animals alike. Let's talk about something that is near and dear to many people's hearts: animals. E-waste that is consumed by animals that is not rid of properly can affect their health. Many animals die if they consume our e-waste, and when they're opened up, their stomachs are full of our e-waste. Another consequence is air pollution. As you can see, these men are burning wires, firstly, without any kind of mask for their own health, and secondly, look how much smoke is being created. This kind of air pollution is horrible for our environment and thus the air we breathe. Much of e-waste is shipped overseas by untrustworthy recyclers. The people who have received the e-waste have the poor scrape them for valuables. The gloves this man is wearing are not sturdy, and he isn't wearing anything that is protecting his body. Yet another reason how e-waste affects health. You've heard me talk about people working with their e-waste overseas, but what is it called? Global dumping. The major sites for global dumping are shown on this map. Two of the sites are in India. I'm Indian and I've been to India. Trust me when I say India is not in need of more trash and pollution. Global dumping leaves useless electronic scraps to be burned or thrown into landfills, even overseas. These jobs are usually filled by the poor of that country, and usually the so-called buyers don't care about the health of their workers. Just like in the U.S., e-waste is moved to landfills overseas as well. E-waste can be thrown into streets, causing more environmental hazards. Personally, having been to India many times, I've seen with my own eyes people throw their trash and old electronics onto the street and drive off. Exhibit A. This is a photograph of electronic waste in an alleyway. Many people in third world countries simply throw their electronics out the window and don't have to deal with them. By doing this, people are polluting the environment every day. What happens when we throw our old phones out and get new ones? It is important we give our old phones and electronics to trustable recyclers. If people buy new phones every year, can you imagine all the cell phone e-waste we could produce as a nation? Millions! College does require the use of technology almost every day. I did research on energy conservation and how University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign students rid of their electronic waste to get a small idea how students rid of their old electronics. I surveyed 30 students by sending out a Google survey. I restricted the survey to 18 to 22-year-olds because I wanted to restrict my research to only college students, and those are the prime ages. As you can see, most students were 21 years old, followed by ages 22 and 20. I asked what kind of electronics students owned to get an idea on what kind of electronics students had. As you can see, almost everyone owns a type of computer and a cell phone. Many students also own TVs. This made me wonder even more, what do these college students do with their old electronics? The prime answer to my question, how do these UIUC students dispose of the electronics? Many of the students put their electronics in storage and many of them sell them, which is great. However, a good chunk of them do throw them in the trash and do not recycle them, which is disappointing. Next, I wanted to see how energy conservative students were, because the amount of electricity one uses does affect the environment. I started off by asking how many electronics do students charge a day. The popular number was 2. Not too bad, I guess, but that leads to the question, how many hours a day do they charge the electronics? 30% said 6+ hours. Batteries get burnt out this way, and the amount of energy conservation is low. When our electronics get burnt out, we want new ones or replace those batteries. What is important is how people rid of those batteries. So, what can you do to eliminate e-waste? Donate old electronics to social programs, try to extend the life of your electronics, buy environmentally friendly products, and, most importantly, find a trustworthy recycle center. The internet is a great tool. Here are some e-recycling programs in the Chicagoland area. All a person needs to do is a bit of research on the internet to find a trustworthy recycler in their area. Look, 180 are just in the Chicagoland area. Conserve, conserve, conserve. Try to take care of your electronics and use them to their full potential. The more energy you use affects the world, and the more e-waste created means more problems with our environment. Recycle. Help our beloved environment.